joining us now. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, 10 years in the NFL's offensive lineman. Max Starks joins the drive on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. Max, I imagine you played in quite a few of these division round matchups. I imagine you have an itch that you need scratched this time of year when you're not in the action?
I mean, I do have to pinch myself and pull myself back into reality, but this is the time of year you just enjoy because you know how intense everybody is that's stepping on the field on Saturday and Sunday, and you miss that competitive edge. It's a special feeling.
How valuable is it as you go through your career to have experience on your side when you're going through the postseason?
It's probably the most important thing I feel outside of being healthy that you need, because that experience you know what it takes inside of you. You know, every person has to know themselves better than anybody else can. So if you've been in that position, you know how it feels and you know what you need to do to get ready to prepare yourself mentally and physically for the type of matchup it's going to be, because no matter how many regular season games you played, when you learn how to play consecutive games coming in and knowing what the 17th, 18th, 19th, and potentially a 20th game feels like, you can't duplicate that no matter how many regular seasons you've gone through. You know, 12-year vet that's never seen a postseason has nothing on a 5-year vet who's been to the playoffs every year. It's just a different feeling and a different place you have to take yourself mentally.
Hey, Max, you look at the 8 quarterbacks that are still alive. Carson Palmer's the only one that hasn't won a playoff game. If you add them all up, 9 Super Bowls, 4 number 1 picks overall, 9 MVPs. What's Carson Palmer going to be like tomorrow? I know Bruce Arians said maybe he has to calm him down a little bit just because he'll be amped up, knowing that this is his best opportunity to win that first playoff game.
Well, I think what you're going to see early on from Carson, there's going to be those butterflies. There's going to be that anxiety, but you're going to see probably a little bit of what you saw when the Cardinals went to the Steelers early in the year, and then also what you saw when they played Cincinnati. That's the emotion that's probably going to be inside of Carson going out for this playoff game in the divisional round. So you can see he's going to be a little tight early on, probably second-guess himself a little bit as far as calling audibles, and then after that first 2-3 minutes of the game, then you're going to see him relax, and I think he's going to have a great day.
Talk about B.A., and Carson prefers to be in the shotgun. We watched him over the last couple of weeks. When they go to that empty backfield, it gets David Johnson on the outside, possibly looking for a matchup on that wheelhouse route, Andre Ellington. But talk about when he's in the gun like that, an empty backfield where he can see the entire field.
It is advantage Carson, and like you said, I think you identified it perfectly. When you can get those mismatches, especially on this Green Bay defense, you want to keep them spread out because you don't want to allow anything to be compact to where they can start blitzing you and hitting home with those different rush packages. So if you keep them spread out, you keep a Clay Matthews a little bit wider because he might have slot responsibility, especially if you flex out a tight end, or you have David Johnson or Andre Ellington line up in that slot position. Or if you do some cross motions, you allow for maybe Julius Peppers has to detach from the end of the line of scrimmage. So you create these opportunities to really see what the defense is trying to present. If they're in blitz, you'll see they'll still stay a little bit tighter and kind of try and float in between the formation and the end of the line. So this gives Carson the best chance of making sure that he sees what's going to happen and he can diagnose the plays properly.
Max Starks on the drive, Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. You can follow him on Twitter at MaxStarks78. Max, looking at the Cardinals' offensive line, your particular area of expertise, given the fact that you played over a decade in the NFL at that position. How capable or how prepared is this Cardinals offensive line to deal with a pretty good Packers pass rush?
I believe they're good enough to get through this game, and I would say handedly do what they need to do, because it's going to be all predicated on how well and how early they can establish a run game. We saw early on when they played the first time, it was tough sledding in the middle. A lot of issues as far as between Lyle and Ted and Mike Upati trying to pass off a couple of their line stunts early on. But once they started getting in a groove and figuring out what it was that made them go, they started humming into the mid-second quarter through the rest of the second half. So Once they find that groove and they start clicking, I think it'll be an afterthought, because when you have the run, you also set up your play action. You have your quick game that now can go. And Larry Fitzgerald in the slot, let's face it, there's really none better that do the job that he does in the slot. So it's going to present headaches and issues for this Green Bay defense. And the best thing is, by them clicking all cylinders, it keeps Green Bay's offense off the field.
You know, Week 16, you sort of alluded to it there. The Cardinals blow out the Packers by 30, 38-8. Here we are a few weeks later. We're in the division round. It's the postseason. But I don't know if you've ever been in that particular situation where you lost to a team a few weeks before playing them again in the postseason. How differently do you think the Packers are going to approach that game? Are they schematically going to try to do things that the Cardinals are unprepared for? Do you change anything, or do you have to just kind of go out there and what you do best?
It's go out and do what you do best. You could diagnose and try and scheme around different things, but both sides have taken hits to their respective units. So there's going to be a level of unfamiliarity with who's coming in and how they play. The only thing you can do is affect how you play, and to let your players go out there and play as confident and as comfortable as possible. So it's put the plays in that are your bread and butters versus whatever the given defense is. And for the defense, line up in a formation that you feel most comfortable with when you identify trips that you feel you have the best chance of putting pressure on the quarterback and covering on the back end. It's going to be about that, because there's no saving it for next week for any of these teams. So it's whatever we do well, we need to do it. And if we find a weakness, let's just attack it when we see it, but we move with our game plan.
All right, no Devontae Adams. We know that the Packers kind of run that sugar offense where they don't huddle. They force you not to make any substitution changes. And then we know Rodgers last week, he had a free play and he threw a touchdown on one of those. So Patrick Peterson, and then the first go-around, there were times when he had Randall Cobb, who lines up in the slot. Other times he had James Jones. Your thoughts on a guy like Dale Buchanan? Can you see him possibly spying on Rodgers to keep him inside the pocket?
I think with Dale Buchanan, you're going to have him do a little bit of half spy, half covering Richard Rodgers, because you want to be able to account for the tight end. You want to close the middle of the field, because that's where Aaron loves to operate. So you need to keep an eye on him, but at the same time, you have to honor those responsibilities with your whole position between the hashes and the numbers, because Aaron likes to float within that area and fake within that area, and Richard Rodgers is a great target in those zones, and Randall Cobb underneath is another great option for them. So I don't see as much spy, but there will be a little dose of the spy. I think with the defensive line, it'll be an easier game. I think Kevin Minter's going to have a pretty solid game. I feel like he's going to bounce back solidly. So you're going to see them kind of scraping, probably playing more contained type of rush to keep Aaron Rodgers in that pocket, as opposed to putting one guy on him and having him be responsible.
All right, in the previous game, they started going with a two-back system with Kuhn, the fullback, and they're either Lacey or Starks. I mean, talk about what that's done for their offense. Clearly, it looks like they're healthy across the board on the offensive line. We'll wait tomorrow to become official. But what does that mean if they got to face the two running backs, or in this case, one fullback?
The two-back system is very strong. John Kuhn, he actually came to Pittsburgh when he was drafted, so I know John very well. Solid fullback. It's going to be a tough task when they're at full strength and they're coming with all of their I formation run game. But I think here's the thing. I think with our defense and the way that we play, I don't think they're going to be as successful with that, even though they do have their guys healthy, just because it's such a tough front to run against. And James Betcher does a great job of making sure that he does just enough in the slants and the twist game to keep guys not being able to get a solid hit. As an offensive lineman, I want to hit solid surface. I don't want to hit moving or slanting or shoulders when I'm trying to drive block on man schemes. And that's when you use a fullback, mainly is when you're getting into more man-type assignment blocking schemes. So I think it will be a tough task for them because of the way that Betcher plays that defense. And you do have guys who are skillful at getting on those offensive lineman edges and knifing into the backfield. It's going to be a little tougher than we think. But at the same time, you have a solid team with Green Bay who runs that system very well. But I don't trust Bakhtiari being fully healthy at the left tackle position. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that Betcher will give a solid dose of some bull rush and some rushes towards his side to really see how agile and mobile he really is, and really test him early on just to get a picture of how healthy that left side is.
Yeah, I want to go see Freeney on his spin move. Maybe his ankle will get re-injured again, just because he hasn't been able to move around a lot.
Yeah, that or you come with a TE game where you have Calais come and kind of slam him from his inside out and have Freeney run to the inside. I would love to see a couple of those also, Adam, because I don't think I've been a lineman who's missed a couple games with lower body injuries, and I know how that is, and there is a certain amount of kind of anxiety in the back of your head wondering, am I healthy enough? Am I going to be, good enough and mobile enough to move around with these guys? And as a defense coordinator, I'm like, I want to take that fear and magnify it on this guy. So I'd rather attack him early. So hopefully they do that.
Yeah, the adrenaline will be flowing, so that's something to look for in that first half. All right, my last question on the Cardinals game would be, how do you see this playing out between the Packers and Cardinals?
I see this is going to be obviously not a blowout like last time, but I think this will be a game that's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to whichever team is going to commit the less interceptions. I'm going to be more specific on the turnovers. It's going to be the interceptions because both teams are going to test each other's defenses through the air. And it's going to come down to Justin Bethel being able to cover his responsibility opposite Patrick Peterson because Aaron Rodgers started picking on him in the second half, trying to get some success going. So he's going to be the first target that Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking at. So how Justin Bethel plays and can he intercept Aaron Rodgers to shut that down is going to be the difference maker. And then for Carson, it's going to be, is he going to be composed enough early in this game that he doesn't make a mistake and make a turnover? And I think it'll be a one-touchdown game or less. I would say, if I had to guess, I'm going to go with 31-24.
Cardinals?
Cardinals. Oh, yeah. No
right.
doubt.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah. No.
Now let me ask you this.
I don't like Chiefs from Wisconsin unless it's Tillamook. Anyways, no, just joking. No, but no, I'm Cardinals all the way. I think Cardinals have this game and they are primed and ready as a team to make that jump.
What do you see, lastly, quickly, what do you see from that Panthers-Seahawks game? Do you like the Seahawks to go on the road or the Panthers to continue to flex their muscles?
As much as I want to say Panthers because I don't like the Seahawks, it's just something about a team who's been playing every week and a team that's kind of had that lull and has never really experienced that success that they've had. I don't know how that week off is going to help them. It was a good thing that they actually lost a game so they know what it feels like, so they know how to circle around the wagon before it came into the postseason. I feel like the Seahawks, they got so lucky. I don't know how. The churches must have been full in Seattle last week. But, I feel like that team, they're so lucky that something's going to happen, and it's going to be a fluke play, and the Seahawks are going to squeak by the Panthers.
Great stuff from Max Starks. Follow him on Twitter at MaxStarks78 and check out his website, MaxStarks.com. Max, enjoyed the conversation, man, and valuable insight.
Definitely. Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.